gone. Hey.
Hello. Hey, everybody. It's the Icayi Vibe Show. How are you, Miss Anna?
I'm doing beautifully, dear. Doing absolutely
Oh,
wonderfully.
really? You're doing wonderfully in your black skin.
I'm
Mm,
melanated to the max, yes, girl. And I was even
mm.
I was even basking in the sun before the rain decided to come and destroy my life. But it's okay. It's okay. I
We
will
still have
forgive the
sun
rain.
here. We still have sun
Mm.
here. Yeah, I don't
No,
know till
don't
when,
be
but we
showing off,
still have
yeah?
sun.
Because the majority of the year you don't. So let's not have that argument.
Let's not start. Oh. But
Otherwise I'll be
anyway,
there.
I'm so happy to see you. It's been a month now when we were talking about veganism. And
Yes.
now today, we're gonna change a little bit. I don't know if it's kind of the same or different
It's very
type of
different though.
topic. No, but like like healthy, being healthy and being going back to our roots. You see what I mean? Be proud of our roots. You see what I mean? Be more natural. Let's say be more natural,
Okay, yeah. I
right?
guess
Be
in
more,
that sense. But in that
yeah,
sense alone, because it is it's
just
somewhere
that
over
sense.
there. Yeah, so
Now,
it's
so yes, so
far.
tonight we have a great topic because we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about appearance. I want to say appearance. Okay, we're gonna talk about appearance. We're gonna talk about how we want to appear. Using hair, using her skin, etc., etc. And I know there is a lot of sometimes maybe misunderstanding, if I can say, between people who bleach their skin, people
Mm-hmm.
who love their skin, people
Mm-hmm.
who change their hair, people,
Mm-hmm.
people who want to stay with their nappy hair, people who want to wear weave. But we were just wondering, is it the same? Is someone who's wearing a weave has the same, how can you say that?
Thought
I don't want to say
process.
issues. I don't want to say issues because we can't really say that, that these people have issues, really.
Same underlying ideals or same underlying views or
Exactly.
paradigms or
About
ideas
fashion,
of
about how
beauty.
you look,
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about yourself. Exactly. How you feel about yourself,
Or what is
right?
the ideal look?
Exactly. So we are not going just to be two of us talking, of course, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
guests. We have very interesting guests. And we have two guests today, but don't forget, people, that you can intervene whenever you want. So Miss Anne will put the link. If someone wants to intervene, you can come on live or you can just talk on the chat. It's fine. We will
Mm-hmm.
see your comments and really feel free. We are not judging anyone. Anyone is free to do whatever they want to do. So we're not there to judge. We're here to discuss. So first, we're gonna start with the men today, right? We're gonna start with the men. I know
Mm-hmm.
usually it's women, but so today we have one of our guests, which he's an actor, he is a model, he is a voiceover. When you're gonna hear his voice,
You know
you're gonna
why?
understand why. Okay, he's from Nigeria,
Hey.
Naija boy. Sorry, I know Ghana,
And
Nigeria.
why are you apologizing? Ghana is here already. Ghana is here first, so I have no problem at all.
He's from Nigeria, and his name is Christian Ademola. Hello, Christian. He's gonna be there soon. And then we have Crystal Kedi. Kedi, sorry. She is originally from Cameroon, and she has been in the fashion industry for some time, so she knows what she's talking about. And she's now an African ageism educator. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna ask her what it is, of course. So she knows a lot of things about our blackness, etc., etc. So I think it's going to be very interesting. We are very honored to have them tonight with us to talk about that, to talk about skin, and to talk about hair, etc., etc. So welcome to our guests.
Hello.
Hey, Christian Naija boy. How are you?
Serious, though.
Just chilling.
It looks
And I
like
think
he's
we have
just
Crystal
relaxing and enjoying
coming.
life.
Yes. Is Crystal there?
Crystal, are you there?
Crystal, hello. Okay, so while we are waiting for Crystal, but she's there, but I don't know what's happening. Christian, how are you?
Hello there, Kaisha, and hello there, Madame Miss N. How you both doing?
Yes. And I'm Miss
Yeah.
K.
Miss K.
Yes,
Miss
I
K.
am Miss
Miss
K.
N.
You just said my name.
Oh,
It's okay,
sorry.
don't worry. Too late now. So, do you have your icayi, Christian? Do you have your icayi?
No, no, no,
Hello.
no advertising meant for this.
Wow. So, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking green tea.
Green tea. Okay.
Green
All right.
tea, yes. Trying to get my antioxidants up, you see.
Oh, that's good. So you're not trying to be green, because I know, offline we were talking with Crystal and she was telling that the use of bleach sometimes can turn your skin into green color.
I've seen people who just they look like raw meat after they've ruined their skin. It
Oh,
just looks wrong. I just don't, I don't understand it. But we're so lucky and we're so blessed with such beautiful skin. People want, people tan to get what we have, you know what I'm saying? And then we're there bleaching ourselves for what? Because of some antiquated notion that lighter is better looking, because some Europeans came, colonized us, and told us that. So now we all think, no, it's nonsense. And then we still perpetuate that. Why do we perpetuate that? What, why? As in, and it's not just no, it's lack of education amongst many things, but it's not, and it's not just bleach. It's not just bleach and weaves. I mean, it's more than that. For example, I have the women that will, a lot of women that I meet, as in terms of makeup, even they will not wear their shade makeup. The makeup is always how many shades lighter. So I was like, where does this come from, kind of thing? Because it's like, are we afraid to be ourselves? It's like, does it, for me, it kind of screams self-hatred to me, and I don't want it to scream that. As in, it's like, if in my dating life, for example, if I want to date someone now, before I didn't really care, I used to just look past it. I just like the person. I still like the person. But if I'm looking at a long-term goal, I don't want to be with someone that has some crusty ass weave on their head. I don't want that. I don't want someone that has a wig. As in the long term, I want someone that has their own hair, our hair, as in natural hair, and please tell me, why is it when I ask some black women about natural hair, oh, I wouldn't even know how to look after it. It's so difficult to look after. You're telling me that you can fry your hair, poison it, stick horse hair or rat's hair or dead person's or whatever it is into your head, but you don't know how to look after your own head. I'm not mad at you. Don't worry. As in, but as in, so you're saying, you're telling me that when you do that, you're fine, but your own hair that you're born with, you don't have a clue what to do with. There's something wrong there. There is something wrong there. It just doesn't make sense, And I've seen women insult, even men and women, say the most cruelest things to some people that have chosen to go natural. Why do you have that bush on your head? What's wrong with this? As in, you can't afford to perm your hair. As in, a friend of mine, she was approached by a stranger, a man, trying to talk to her. And he said to her, oh, I don't even mind, because she was beautiful. She's from Uganda, beautiful, lovely chocolate complexion. And this guy's like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm willing to look past the fact that you're darker. And she's like, what?
What?
You just met, this is what they're saying to her. I'm also looking to look past. I'm also also willing to look past the fact that you don't relax your hair. The guy genuinely felt like he was doing her a favor. I'm like, what? What kind of ignorance is that? The same girl, her own auntie, because people from Uganda are like a certain color. Now, as in, normally they can be darker skin, right? This same girl, when she was a teenager, her own auntie, who used to be the same color as her, who had bleached the nonsense out of her skin, came to her as a teenager and said, you know what? You too can be happy. You know what I'm saying? And she offered to bleach her skin for her. What the heck? What kind of world do we live in? What is this?
No, that's not good.
That's a
It's
madness.
it's estimated that about 70%, and that's probably a conservative estimate, of Nigerian women, for example, bleach themselves. Why?
Yes.
You know, and men are doing it too. People, everybody's doing it now, but I don't understand why. It's just, as in, and the funny thing is, when you see some of these people, if you look at them before, they look so much better.
Nice.
They look
Exactly.
gorgeous and
It's
bright.
it's coming to the point where there's sometimes I've met women just met them talking. For example, someone I just literally I see on the platform on the train. We just talk, hi, how you doing? I always presume the color I see on her face, that's her color. Until when summer's coming now, until I look down at ankles, I'm like, this is two separate people. Who's this? It's like, is it they cut someone else's feet and put them on this, but I'm like, what is this? I don't understand.
But then as well, we are not, I know that there are some parts of my body that are lighter than others.
Yeah,
so,
I'm talking.
maybe that one was too much.
But imagine Michael Jackson's face and Wesley Snipes' feet. Then you know what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's not some
Michael
bus.
Jackson at what age?
Oh, we have a Michael Jackson fan, so be careful with the Michael Jackson.
Be careful what you think about Michael Jackson, please.
Michael Jackson when he disowned the black people.
Oh, he didn't disown. I don't want. Let's not talk about this because he was ill. He had a sickness. Okay, so he didn't disown his own race.
But funny enough, mentioning that, a lot of people do say that they bleach their skin because they have dark patches.
And they want to even it out. Yeah, I've heard that excuse too.
Okay, I can see Christelle shaking her head. That would be interesting to see what your views on that.
Yeah, the vitiligo supposedly that Michael Jackson gave as an explanation to his bleaching came out like about 20 years ago after Thriller, the album. We all saw that his nose also changed. His entire family, they also changed their nose, apart from the mother. So did they all have coke issues? Because that's one option in Hollywood, because when you take a lot of coke, you blow up your nose. The second option is that you have an issue with your physical appearance. We all know he didn't like his nose because his father was bullying him.
He admitted.
But for vitiligo, the best treatment, and especially for Michael Jackson, he had access to the best treatment at the time of his glory. He went to South Africa to inject, because the injection, because nowadays you know that bleaching, you can directly inject every 3 months the product, and then you remain light between brackets for 3 months. He had the money to afford it. So vitiligo, when you want to clear it, you have to remain, to keep your own skin tone, your natural skin tone. You don't have to bleach or to become lighter. So that's, I'm sorry to say that for his fan, but that was a massive PR campaign. Everybody knows that vitiligo in the beauty industry can only be healed through certain type of practices with sun rays. So you don't get lighter. That's impossible. So he had an issue, and we saw in the way he chose the mother of his children. We see his children, or so-called children. We know that genetics are capable of manipulating your DNA. So whatever, but saying that he dismissed his people, his appearance, and he wasn't the only one in his family. Who in his family has black kids? I mean, the first child, the firstborn, that's it.
It's true that the Jackson, I think, had some issues, but maybe it was because of the industry in which they were, and the industry because they were like the one who opened the doors for the others. Okay, so I think that the issue of being lighter was a big issue. Michael Jackson, of course, went a bit too far. For me, he went too far because I really loved him at the moment of Thriller, etc., etc. I'm not a crazy fan who would be like in denial, etc., etc. But for me, he had vitiligo because this is what was even written on his death report. He had vitiligo. He went too far with the bleaching. I admit it. It went too far, and a lot of people told him that it was too much. But I think at some point you get addicted as well surgery, because you always want, I think it's in your mind that you always think that you don't look good enough, so you go further and further and further, you know. So, but this is about plastic surgery, maybe it's another subject, but you know, it's true that it was not a good example for us Black people in like loving your skin. That's true.
But
In terms of saying that it opened doors, we had people like Miles Davis, Louis Armstrong were very dark-skinned Americans, and they made it well before him. So I disagree with the idea that because he made it through MTV, then he had to bleach his skin. He had issues that he should have dealt with in terms of psychology. He didn't do it. So he's still talented, but it's like Freddie Mercury among Asians. Freddie Mercury did change his name and was bleaching too, because he wanted to look less Asian. So it has nothing to do with vitiligo or whatsoever. He admitted that I wanted to look European. I didn't want to look Asian.
So yeah, so maybe it's the industry. It's like fashion. You know, don't you have like maybe in fashion, maybe not now, because I think now maybe Black skin is a bit more, you know, we see it more. But I think, you know, and Christian, you worked in fashion as well, and Christelle as well. You work both in fashion. I think that in fashion is even worse, you know, that, you know, to look, you know, your own Black skin in the European fashion, of course.
I know for me, I know once, I know, for example, when it comes to years back, when it came to male models, it was the preference seems to be darker male models. Like that, I mean, that seems to now be shifting, because now the preference seems to be mixed people, it would seem. I know there's, I'm talking about for men anyway. For women, there seems to be like this I don't know, a boom in very beautiful dark-skinned women, very beautiful. You've even got that, I can't remember her name, the model with she has vitiligo. There's that model who's got vitiligo. Is it vitiligo? As in, yeah, which is quite interesting. I can't remember her name now. I can't remember. But very striking. But when it comes down to the standards of beauty that have been shown by the beauty industry earlier on, our standard of beauty wasn't included in that. I'm talking like when you were back in the day, when you were a young girl, you didn't see a lot of people that looked like you on the covers of magazines, on the screens. You didn't see that, you know. And now things are definitely a lot better, because you have a whole generation that can see people that look like, they can see themselves reflected in the people we watch on television, the people we see in the media. It's better. It's definitely better. It's not perfect. There's still things to address, but it's better. And I think that in itself, over a period of time, that'll allow people to be more comfortable in the skin they're in, you know, because we don't have, you know, the narrative of lighter is better isn't as prevalent. It's still there, because like I said, for every, you're a Michael Jackson fan. Michael Jackson was an international icon. So many people love that guy. Think how many young Black children, and I was one of these young Black children, I loved Michael Jackson. Now think how many young Black children would look at this guy and you think, oh, maybe there's someone in your mind, after what he did, when you start to question your own standard of beauty, the way you look at yourself. I mean, I thankfully didn't. I think for myself, and I always say this, I was born in Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria, surrounded by people that look like me. I saw people that look like me in every strata, doing all kinds of jobs. So I came to the UK to live when I was young. And some people that I've seen, I mean, the experience I had in the UK was different, because I didn't see that many people that looked like around me as much. But I think I was lucky to see Black people in all walks of life doing all sorts. So my foundational years were set. Yet I see a lot of Black people that were raised here, different experiences, and having to deal with different things. I didn't have to deal with racism and those from until the age of 10. You're saying, so my comfort with my skin and my acceptance of my skin color was pretty much set. I was set with that. You know, I did say, and I think you did use it. When it comes to my preference, you know, I prefer a beautiful black woman, say a woman of color, woman with some melanin. And I said it, if it glows in the dark, I don't want it. Pure and simple, straight up.
You need to clarify that. What exactly?
The white woman.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what do you mean by glow in the dark? Like, I'm trying to imagine what this kind of person looks like.
So see, obviously it's more of a general statement, but it's more what I'm basically trying to just say. Look, if you're beautiful, obviously it depends on, because you're a black woman, you could be any different shade. So that obviously it's a bit of a weird statement to make, because there are black women that are darker, black women that are lighter. So yeah, so for me, I'm just basically saying on the whole, as in, if it's dark, I should struggle to see you. Say, because if you're too far on one side, then you're not for me. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's coming.
And further to that, if it's in the dark and I'm reaching for your head, I don't want to feel a string of horsehair. I want to feel your hair.
What are you talking about?
Aisha, that's Michael Jackson. Now they rinse and weave. I'm starting to feel a bit bad for you. Do you know what? To be honest, it's kind of like, I think everything underpins what your thought process is, because people are always blaming the industry, and I know they have an impact. But if there is an element of pride before you go into it, because you have to think about it, all the black people that are in industry and done well, not all of them have changed their skin tone. So what is different between that person and the person who's decided to completely change their color, completely change the texture of his hair from the afro to that coolie looking weave, or however you call it, nose pointing and everything? There was something or some issues he had way beforehand. And I think we need to acknowledge those issues. A lot of us have certain underlying issues from the way we're brought up. Maybe the books we read as children, the princess always had the long flowy hair and was always light skinned. So we always have that view. I know, like my niece and nephew were looking through alphabet cards, and the princess was a small white girl and the witch was a small black girl. And these are very small, subtle differences. And I didn't even really notice. It was somebody else looking at the cards that were like, have a look at this. So these issues are kind of inside us as we grow older, and then we find ourselves in slightly different environments, and then we start picking certain things in an aim to be like the ideal person. I mean, look at the doll test that they did. So if that person enters the fashion industry, they're likely to make decisions so they look like the doll that they would have picked as children. So I think we have to recognize that, yeah, the industry has a role to play, but if we as a people had a lot of pride, it will be very difficult for that industry to change. Like, for example, both of you, you're in the industry, you're in a very racist industry that has a certain idea of what they want to look like. Even though they're now going for darker models, what I'm finding is a lot of these darker models have European features. So there's something like, we like the Africanness, but you can't go too far to the other side. So, we can have your dark skin. It's either you have dark skin and European features, or you have lighter skin and we will allow the thicker lips and the wider nose.
But I don't know why we say European features, because in Africa you see so many different features. So I don't know why a thin nose couldn't be an African features, because you see that everywhere, like the different type of skin as well, the lighter or not. I've seen black people like even you, Christian, you 100% Nigerian, though you're very light. You're not mixed race.
Slow down. No, slow down.
Went for her, Michael Jackson. She's coming for you.
Slow down. Slow down. 100% Nigerian, and I am a chocolate brother. Thank you very much.
No. You mixed chocolate. Sorry.
So what I actually wanted to mention is that, yeah, you may have this experience as a growing person, but I was born in Europe. I grew up in Europe, and my mother never tried to straighten my hair. She forked. She never did that to herself. She has never done that to myself and to my sister. So it's a choice you make. So we never grew up having to feel uncomfortable with our hair. And I grew up in the 80s. So it was well before internet, very difficult to keep your hair natural. And she was, doing the African hairstyle that we have for little girls. So all the little children, white children, were laughing at me. And it didn't make me feel bad, because I knew that, okay, that's my culture, because every Sunday my mother was talking to me. And my mother is African, my father is African too. So it depends on your family, it depends on your mindset. Saying that because growing up among white people will affect you, you have to be emotionally strong. You have to accept yourself, you have to love yourself. Then talking about the industry, I totally agree with this notion of European features or African features. In fact, let's be honest, they're going to pick up people who are more likely to look like them to some extent, because that's their industry. That's where they are the people putting most of the money. If we were the one putting most of our money as investors and not consumers, then we would be able to choose our people. We are doing it in Nigeria Fashion Week, in Kenya Fashion Week, in Cameroon Fashion Week, and we have launched many campaigns in fashion industry in regards to having at least 50% of Black models in Africa with natural hair. Nowadays, even in African catwalk, we've got natural hair, because we said our hairdressers, they need to express their art. They can't express their art with these weaves and all these American artifacts. So it's also about repossessing our culture, repossessing ourselves, our imagery, and being proud of it. Now, the last comment I wanted to make in terms of shades in Africa, having between bracket a lighter skin doesn't mean that you are automatically mixed.
Exactly.
Because if you are from the forest, you didn't benefit naturally from the sun. If you think about the so-called pygmies, especially in Namibia, they are light skinned between brackets. And when you check their DNA, they don't have European or Asian ancestry. So if you look at some also population in Sahel, Sahelian population, especially people like Tuareg people say, oh, they are mixed, they are mixed. When we check their DNA, they have much more African DNA than the Maasai, for instance. The Maasai are not 100% African in terms of genes, but they are very dark skinned and they have woolly hair. But it doesn't make you an African in terms of genetics. So we have to be extremely careful with what we call African and what we don't call African.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So about the bleaching. So do you then, Christelle and Christian? So for you, it's definitely a mental issue. And do you think, if it is, how can it be this contract? Because you know, if you start bleaching your skin, that means that it was a process. It was something that happened in your mind, that you start thinking, okay, maybe I will look better if I bleach my skin. And I don't think that they want to be white. I think that some people just want to be lighter. You see what I mean? So, but maybe some go to the extreme of like, oh, okay, when I'm lighter, I am more attractive. And you see, even when you look at the Snapchat, you see Snapchat, all the filter, they will make you look lighter, which is really, sometimes I was thinking, okay, why are they doing this? You see what I mean? Because you see, like, okay, now you look good, and of course they change your face, etc., etc. But the things that they make you look lighter, I think it's a bit, I don't know, it's not. You see, so when you have all this coming to you, and when you are young, because I think when you are a mature woman, you can still, be reasonable. But when you are growing up and trying to affirm yourself and think, okay, I'm beautiful, I'm trying to be beautiful, then it's I don't think it's easy to really, if you don't have, like you, Christelle, the parents behind, you see what I mean, who can tell you, no, you are beautiful, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. I think it's very difficult to not be tempted to, at least try to be lighter. And it's the only way to do it is to bleach your skin.
Just to say, we have somebody entering who would like to contribute to the discussion. Her name is Sonia. Just bear with me a moment. I'm just going to let her into the room.
Okay.
And see.
So I don't know what you think about that.
Well, to be honest, bleaching, however it came about, I feel is to do with the underlying view that whiter is better. So you're going to try and find ways to do it so that you look as white as you can be. And I think it's the same with weave wearing. We always say it's protective styling, right? But my question is, if it's really about protecting your hair, why don't you find the hair that's closest to the hair that grows out of your head? Yet 90% of us are wearing hair that looks completely different to what grows out of our head. Like literally, I would even go as far as saying 95%, to the extent that I was looking for an Afro wig. And the only ones that I could find were majority to do with clowns and costume makeup. Like that view that Afro hair, somebody would want to wear it and be taken seriously. Like, clearly, according to the market, the only people that wear Afro hair is if they want to be a clown. Sonia, are you there? Hello, Sonia. I'm not quite sure she can hear. Sonia, are you?
Hello.
Sonia, do you have a contribution that you would like to make?
I've only just joined, so can I listen for a bit first, please?
Okay.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yes. No. So we were talking about the fact that is bleaching your skin a sign that maybe you have mental issue. Me personally, I don't think it is. I don't think it is always. I think it's just fashion. I think it's just the trend to look lighter, to look better. You know, that people think, oh, when I look lighter, I look better. I am more attractive to men or, you know, or women. So I don't think this is really like, oh, okay, I'm crazy and I hate my skin and this and that. Because when you see white people, you know, being under the sun, which is very bad for them as well, because they want to be more tan, would you say that they hate their skin? It's just that because they think they look better when they are tan. You see what I mean? So that's why, and even weave, because I'm wearing a weave. And I know I don't hate my skin. I don't hate my race. It's just that for me, for the moment, I feel that I look better with this. Now, obviously, I've tried being nappy, which was a bit hard. So, you know, maybe I have to go back to it. Maybe I should wear a wig or something. But I think as well that this is like, I'm not against it. You see what I mean? I can wear braids, and I usually do it in summer, because I think a weave in summer is too much. You see what I mean? So I don't think that we can really always put a label on someone and say, oh, that person is crazy, or that person has mental issues, or that person hates her skin, etc., etc. You know, so, you know, but I think we have people...
Going back to Miss N's question to you, well, Miss N's statement to you. So, but why is it you choose to wear hair that is so far removed from what your natural hair would be? That's what Miss N says. I'm curious.
I think it's because I got used to it. Now I have to say that sometimes I was thinking of like wearing a wig like for braids, but sometimes when I look at them, they look so fake that, you know, I don't want to do it. Now maybe I would try a wig with Afro hair. This one I would like to, you know, I love Crystal's hair, but my hair doesn't look like this at all. So, you know, if you see my hair, you know, so, and I know it's a work, I know it's a process. It doesn't come from one day to another, you know, and I think it is that transition period that is a bit difficult. But I'm not against like wearing my, you know, my hair. I did it for, I was only able to keep it for 2 weeks. Okay. Well, but, you know, I'm really not against it. I think it's beautiful. And when you can really take care of it, because it's really a matter of taking care of it, and, you know, then yes, but I'm not against it. But now, and I think it's easier for me. I just have this, I just brush it a little bit, and that's it, I'm out.
In terms of black hair is too difficult to look after, you're saying?
Well, for me, it asks more attention.
I think Crystal wanted to say something, and then after she's mentioned, then I'll bring my little 2 pence or 2 pesos.
I wanted to discuss about the post-traumatic slave syndrome, which has several ways to express itself. We are going back to, for instance, Frantz Fanon, and when he's talking about the dissonance, and dissonance is the fact that you are not accepting how you look like. That's one of the first ones. The second one is also the exogamy, the fact that you are choosing partners as a fetishist, systematically people outside of your original ethnic group, not to say your original skin tone group. So all of these as post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's why we can't compare with Europeans, because Europeans, they are the dominant culture. So they choose whether they want to have a dark skin or not. It won't affect their status as white person, as dominant people in society. While us, because we are still oppressed people, we are still people in construction, under reconstruction. It doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have the same message. So yes, there is a mental there is a mental origin behind it, because it just doesn't make sense that people would go for something which is totally different from them. Even animals, are animals. They don't try to change the way they look. Even animals, they don't try to go and date systematically outside of their race. That's the same mental. Some people, because they are based in Africa or the Caribbean and they are mostly surrounded by people of their own, it's going to be easier for them to distinguish by bleaching their skin. But those like us who are living in Europe or in America, in mostly white countries, they are more likely to go into exogamy. So that's the same phenomenon. It's mental. It's just that we don't accept the way we look. We want to be featured in the dominant culture, and we want to see ourselves within that dominant culture. So one of the way is to do Michael Jackson, and for others is to go into exogamy or fetishism.
Ironically,
I don't 100% agree with it, but Christian, yes.
I was going to say, actually, as in Christelle, you brought us some very, very good points. There's a lot there I definitely do agree with. As in one of the points that I picked up on, just to expand on that, is with the animals. And funny enough, okay, some animals do change to fit, as in the same way that some people are bleaching or have weaves there trying to change to fit. For example, if an animal that's able to camouflage itself, like let's say a chameleon, for example, saying so that's trying to adapt to survive. The irony is, some people would say they're putting in their contacts, their fake hair, bleaching their skin to get on and to do better, or to attract a man, or to do this. So ironically, in their head, maybe that's what they're trying to do to survive. And even though it's not, so it's ironic, the parallels between the animal kingdom and with us. It's just, I don't know. That's what I just wanted to say. I just find it interesting. But there are a lot of points you brought up that I definitely do agree with. It is very interesting. I'm on the point you brought up about mixed race relationships. I have no issue with them. If for me, if someone loves someone, that's up to them. What I don't like, if someone chooses to make that choice to date someone from a different race, okay, fine, that's your choice. That you're an individual, you can do what you want. My thing is this: date whoever you want to, but what I hate is when someone, male or female, dates another race and then they choose to then insult their own race. That annoys me. It's like at the end of the day, look, you're free to do what you want to do, but it's like, oh, I won't date black men because I won't date black women because, yeah, but why? It's like so you're dating whoever you want to do, fine, but why use that as an opportunity to then attack your own? Which when you put that together with I don't know, saying that this, you just think to yourself, you really hate yourself, because there's some people that it's not about this is the person I fell in love with. It's because this person is a certain color, my kids are going to be a certain color, they're doing X, Y, and Z, or this person thinks if I'm with this person, I can do this. I mean, have you noticed how a lot of successful people are with white partners? I'm like, and it just, I always find that weird.
Why?
I always find it very interesting. It's like, I mean, yeah, I've wanted to ask myself. I was like, what is this? It's like a pattern. I keep on saying, okay, is that the price of success, that you can't be with someone that looks like? I'm not saying, obviously there are people that are with people that look like them, even on television. Even on television, as in up until recently, if you saw a black person, usually the black person has to be with a person of another race. So much of the time, as in, sadly, it took someone executing someone publicly, or in America last year, for us to see more black people on television in the UK, for example, but actually to have more. And it's like, dude, it took that. That's what it took to actually remember we live in this country too. It's like, what is that? It's I just don't. The whole thing is it's frustrating. I don't knock anyone's choice for choosing to have a weave. You know what I'm saying? I don't knock it. I don't a wig, a weave. I don't knock it. It's nothing wrong with it. I just mean, personally speaking, as in, and by personally speaking,
Why are you talking? Okay.
You know,
Uh,
Rachel's put her hand up. Rachel's just joined us. Rachel, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the conversation? Whether bleaching is the same as wearing weave?
Actually, sorry, that's my daughter's name. My name is Celia.
Oh, hey, Celia.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
hello, Celia.
Hello. I was just listening. It's all very interesting, and obviously we've got this whole thing about how this colorism is all based on the Europeans giving us the impression that lighter is more beautiful, and but I think sometimes we still need to look inside, you know, kind of look at home and amongst ourselves. And when I say that, I'm directing this at the men, so the chocolate brother. The fact is, a lot of Black men do show preference for the lighter skinned women. And it's not just that. I mean, it's not just skin color. When men show a preference for a certain type of woman, women tend to want to look more like that. And even though we can blame it on whatever colonialism has done, we are still propagating this even in our own community. So, for example, if you go to Jamaica, there was a time that women were taking these chicken peels to make themselves fat, because Jamaican men prefer larger women, big women. And so the preference was for women to be bigger. And women were killing themselves, taking these pills that are made to make chickens bigger, to make themselves bigger, because that's what their men preferred. So I think a lot of it stems from women wanting to look attractive to their men, to their Black men. So I think we need to take responsibility. The men need to take responsibility as well. And I mean, it's all right to have a preference, you know, nobody's saying you always have to like one specific, but I think there's a lot of times where the men will put down women who are darker skinned. I saw a post on Instagram just yesterday where a Black man said that dark skinned Black women cannot wear different color wigs. And obviously he was slammed for that. So yeah, I think there's a lot that our Black men need to do to take responsibility and to, you know, let every woman know that she's beautiful, no matter whatever she's got on her head. It's her choice to have that on her head. We shouldn't judge anybody. You know, it's all right to have your preference, but we shouldn't judge anybody. And obviously the bleaching thing, the weave thing, I don't have, you know, problems with women. Whatever they want to put on is fine. Because if you had your natural hair, you could straighten it and make it look straight. So you can wear a straight wig if you want to, you know, whatever you're happy with. But the bleaching, that one I don't like, because you're changing the composition of your skin and you're changing almost irreversibly what you were born with. So it's different, you know. So yeah, sorry, I've waffled, but that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much for your contribution. So Christian,
thank you.
As the man in this group, what do you have to say to Celia?
I completely agree with Celia, as in the sense that too much of the time, us Black men, we haven't done right by our women a lot of the time, as in too much of the time. Just to further clarify, though, bleaching is on the increase in men too, not just women. There are many men that are bleaching. So that thing about preference isn't just from men to women, it's women to men too. Male bleaching is on the increase, and it's not about to stop anytime soon, sadly. Yes, as in, to be honest, as in, one big thing when it comes to hair, as in, unless you're very shallow, the person you're with is much more than just their hair. They are much more, you know, as in, personally speaking, I like someone based on what's here. All this or whatever, it's what's here. It's your mind, your heart, and that's the important thing. Bleaching, yes, you're right. I mean, you know, hair is one thing. Bleaching, yeah, that's something altogether. Apart from the fact you're putting yourself at risk of skin cancer, you're doing this. Bleaching really sends a message of self-hatred, as in hair is hair, but bleaching is something that's just toxic. And that's when you are completely right, Celia, in the sense that, yes, with us as a people, too many of us are sending this message to the younger generation about about not really accepting yourself, not really loving yourself. I've seen, I've known parents to tell children about things like from the young age, don't go in the sun, you'll be darker. Don't do this, as in, and criticize them for having natural hair, as in making all kinds of comments. There've been families where you've had children. For example, this is someone that I've known through someone else. Growing up, her mother was dark skinned, she was dark skinned, the rest of her siblings were light skinned. The mother, from the time she was young up until she was older, mother always criticized her about how ugly she was. Bear in mind, she and the mother were the same hue.
Wow.
But the sisters were always good looking. She was ugly because she was too black. You know, and that's what the mother would say. I thought, like, first of all, there's clearly self-hatred there, but having to hear this all your life. This is a woman. This is a woman that came to her 50s and had such issues with the way she looked, never thinking she was attractive enough. This woman had beautiful, rich skin. You look at her, she was beautiful, but because of all that was drilled into her from early age, she never loved her. She could never love herself because of that. To the point where she didn't even like photographs were taken of her. As in, and this is based on what someone's mother is telling you before your self-confidence has even managed to solidify. It's already been chipped away. And there's so many people like that, as in they just hear from not just from society. Society will say one thing, that's that, but your family, our loved ones, the people that will help us to grow into whoever we're supposed to grow into, help us shape our identities. We're a lot of us are guilty of that. Too many of us, you know, and it's sad. It shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't keep perpetuating this. And yes, and sadly, I wish that 10 years from now I could say that it wouldn't be like this. But sadly, all these parents have passed it down to their kids have passed it down to their kids, and it just doesn't disappear. It's just ridiculous. And and when you see your people on the screen that are doing the same thing, your Michael Jacksons, your Beyoncés, you're doing this, and they're held up as the standard of beauty or this and that. You know, I mean, there's not enough Lupita Nyong'os or Danai Guerreras there. You know, there's sadly everyone's switching to this one. There's, you know, I was personally so glad to see Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Guerrera, Alec Weck, beautiful dark skinned women that are there, and now they are getting much more props now, and their standard of beauty is actually there celebrated too, but still by comparison not as much, and mainly it's a lot of the time it's us that's celebrating that. The mainstream media is still pushing more of the mixed narrative or whatever, and less of the dark skin narrative. But you know, we have a lot to answer for as a people, and to be honest, yes, whether on whoever sowed the seeds, wherever it started, it's us that has to sort it out, and it's enough.
I have a question actually. It seems like we're suggesting that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that bleaching is bad, but wearing weave is okay. I have the personal opinion that there is the same underlying mindset.
Not with me. Definitely.
Okay, so I want to hear, like, what are we saying about wearing weave? Oh, because I feel like it's like the same underlying mindset. Like if there's a spectrum, you have at one end where you're willing to chemically alter yourself to look like the ideal ethnic group or race who's in control, and you're willing to harm yourself and kill yourself during that process. And at the other end is that you're willing to do the same change, but maybe just destroy your edges in the process. So I would like to, like, what are your views on weaves, Christelle? If you want to start.
If you bleach yourself with a chemical burn, that's the same thing as if you fry your hair with a chemical burn. That's the same as bleaching yourself. You're burning yourself.
It's not the same than wearing a weave. I haven't relaxed my hair for years, for example, because I know it's bad. You see, but
at the same time, wearing weaves constantly and wearing wigs and weaves just destroys the opportunity for your scalp to see the sun and to breathe. Our hair are meant to be protective us from the sun ray. They are meant to be like antenna to get our melanin. So how do you get your vitamin D knowing that you are living in Europe? Don't tell me that you are taking food supplement, because they are not made for us. They have been set up for the European kind, not for the African kind. The best way for us to get our vitamin D is through the sun, not even with the mushrooms. That's one of the thing I wanted to mention. Secondly, I wanted to talk about this colorist agenda and issue. Growing up as a little girl, the most experiences I had in terms of colorism were in Africa within my family. It's when we were going on holiday that I was said that I shouldn't go under the sun, otherwise I would get darker. I never experienced colorism in Europe because in Europe, you either mixed race or you're black. So if you don't have European parenting, then you're black. They don't question whether you are chocolate or caramel or whatsoever. In Africa, it's something extremely serious. Even the way they talk to children. We have all seen documentaries, especially in Senegal, in West Africa, where women were crying because they would say, even in wedding ceremony, because they were too dark, they were not taken into pictures. In North Africa, they are not invited if they are too dark. That's the reality of Africa as we speak in 2021. So claiming that there's no mental issues is a denial. Colorism is a very, very big problem. Today we have Aratin's people in Mauritania, they are being maintained into slavery because of the color of their skin, because of how their hair look. If you have wavy hair in Sahel, like in Sudan or in Mauritania, you can get away with your dark skin because you are supposedly mixed race. If you have woolly hair, even if you are light skinned, you are supposedly a black person. That's the reality as we speak now. So you understand why I was making the parallel with, the colorist culture in Africa or in the Caribbean among black people or black-led countries, and what's going on in Europe in terms of fetishism. I was very specific. I wasn't talking only about exogamy. I was talking about fetishism. Fetishism, it's when you go out more than twice with people who don't look like you. You become a fetishist. Fetishism, according to World Health Organization, is an addiction. So it's a mental issue. Even for white people, being attracted only to black people is fetishism. So it works both ways.
Both ways, yeah, of
So
course.
just to summarize, as a beauty professional, to us, using wigs extensively doesn't help your scalp. If you want to have healthy hair and have them grow, you need at some point to change this habit. Because even ancient Kemet, ancient Egyptians, they were wearing wigs. They were the one who created wigs. They had to shave their head. If you want to wear wigs, you need to be bald. If you can't accept being bald, then you are destroying your scalp. You are destroying your hair. End of the story. It's the same process as bleaching.
Okay. For me, it's not the, I mean, for me personally, it's not the same because I know I would never, ever, ever, ever bleach my skin. This is something I will never do. And I think, like Celia said, and as well a Christian, I think what's most important is really what the person is about. Because, like, for example, okay, I can be wearing a weave and then maybe some people can have the idea about me, all right, that maybe, I don't know, maybe I like white people, which I'm not saying that I don't like white people, but for me, I don't want to date white people. I just want to date my black brothers. So I am very fond of Africa. I love Africa. I want to do things for Africa. I only want to do things for my black community. So that's why when I'm talking about me, of course, I don't think I should be judged by the fact that I'm wearing a weave. But then, like I said, I wear braids, in summer because I realize that it's too much, for example. I have tried like natural hair because I just thought, okay, let me try it because a lot of my friends were natural. So I thought, okay, let me do it. Let me try. But then I found it difficult. So maybe, yes, I don't mind like trying again and mostly in summer because, when it's winter, it's another story. But for me, it was just a question of like, taking care of my hair. And like in the morning, they were nice, they were really nice. And then in the evening, they were like, out of shape. I don't know how to say. So for me, it was very difficult to handle. But, but like I said, Christelle, when I see your hair, I love it. I would like to, I would like my hair to be like this. And I know it's a process, but but I did have my, how do you say that? My light, if you want, when I realized that relaxing the hair was really not good for us. You see what I mean? Because I just didn't like it. I just felt like, no, this is not natural. This is like, doing so many things to your scalp and everything. So I stopped it. And even my hair were healthier when I stopped it. You see? So, for me, I would rather have the choice to do the hair that I want to do. So because I used to do as well sometimes like a ponytail as well. Like I had my hair, then I was doing a ponytail, just so I know that I can change it. But it doesn't, for me personally, it doesn't mean that, I have a mental issue or whatever. And I don't think we can do a general, like, okay, this is the same for everybody. I think everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own issues. And then it can be a process. Some people need, like I heard a story of a woman, she had like as well weave. And then actually her daughter was like looking at her like, like she didn't quite understand what was happening, you see. And from that day, she realized, no, I have to wear my real hair. So my daughter won't be like, okay, what's happening? What's this? So this is, and from that day, she decided to not weave anything. So I think everybody needs the click. I don't know how to say that in English. Yeah, but personally, I won't be, I don't know, I can't judge someone because, that person is wearing a weave or a wig or, their own natural hair, etc., etc. For me, I don't think it's so simple.
Well, at least you're admitting to your mental health problems, Miss K. It's good. That's good. That's nice. So going back to
everybody has mental problems, Mister.
I know I'm joking.
You're joking, but a lot of people do have mental health issues and just because we consider it normal doesn't mean that it's right. I feel that it is not normal for a significant part of our population to feel like they have to look like somebody else. It is not normal, and therefore we need to figure out.
I don't want to look like anybody else. I want to look like me. I don't want to look like, I'm not like looking at the picture of the model and I'm thinking, oh, I want to look like her. I want to look like me. I want to.
But you don't look like you because your hair don't look like me.
Was the little girl born in where you were born? I'm pretty sure she didn't have a long straight streaks. Who was she? So she might look at you and say, who are you? So you sure you look like you or you look like someone else?
There's nothing wrong with wearing straight hair. Let me just point that out because I'm going to be sitting here acting like an hypocrite if I sit here and say I've never ever worn straight hair. I've never ever worn relaxed hair and thought I look good in it. But when a significant proportion of your time is spent, you have to look at it like, if we look at it the past 10 years, how many times has our hair or has our beauty standard reflected the way that we look? Because one day I want to dye my hair blue. My hair don't grow blue outside of, naturally. But the majority of the time, my hair and the way I look, like I hate contouring my nose because my nose, if it's about enhancing your beauty rather than completely changing how you would look. So wearing straight weaves, wearing a wig is fine. But if that is going to be 99% of your time, I would question it. And when it's 99% of the population, I find it very weird. And I think if we don't address that, we're going to be carrying on these issues and it will go from hair to nose to lips to something else or to some other part of our body. The other thing is everybody is who you love whoever you want to love, right? My only issue is, as Christian mentioned, is I've sat in a room with a family member as a young Black woman and he's chosen his partner and his boys had also chosen their partner. They spent the next hour and a half berating Black women. Black women are rude, Black women are this. That is my issue. If you're falling in love with someone else,
it's a bigger issue than wearing weave.
It's a big, well, to be honest, it stems from the same thing. They probably had an issue with their haircut, and then 20 years later, it turned into they had an issue with the women who represent that hair. And so the thing is, for me, is that if you love there's a difference between loving someone for who they are and loving someone because you hate who you are. So what you're looking for in terms of your love is somebody as far away as from you. That's wrong, and that's not love. That is what I would say is fetish. You're loving someone else because they're far away from who you are and you're trying to live your life through them. That's different. If you love them because you love them, that's fine. But don't love someone because you hate yourself. And I feel like that's happening a lot of the time. But because it's considered normal, people don't address it. There's a lot of things that we do now that is considered normal. That is not normal, but it's accepted. When people are injecting their butts, so it looks like we have black women now injecting their butts, and you see the backside. By the time they get to their older age, they can't walk because of the weight on their backside, or they're removing ribs.
Okay, so let's take that example. Let's just take that example. Does it mean that she hates her butt? That doesn't mean that she's more attractive.
There
of
is
course,
an issue.
there's an issue, of course. But for
That's
me,
what I'm
the
saying.
hate, the self-hate, for me, doesn't come here. You see what I mean? I can understand when you say like,
I feel there is an issue, whether the issue is small or whether the issue is big. That's what we're debating. Sometimes the issue can be so tiny, we don't really acknowledge it. But sometimes the issue gets really big. Like some people are going to risk their lives for a bigger butt. Like, is your life that bad that what happens if they die on the operation table? Does that make sense? Like,
and there are many people who have died
on operation.
A lot of people die.
Yeah, I think it's a very European standard of thinking where risking your life to attain a certain level of perfection is normal. For me, as in terms of African culture, and Christelle, I know you've done some research on this idea of risking the essence of life or risking your purpose in life just so that you can appeal to some other human being who probably doesn't know anything about what his purpose is or her purpose is, doesn't make sense. This capitalist world where you have to buy everything, including your cheeks and your eyeballs, makes it seem like it's very normal to change these things. And people are now having babies and they're choosing what hair color they want the baby to have.
Exactly.
It's normal.
And we know where that's going to go. That's going to end up where you can choose everything from the hair color to the skin color. And we know with the way people are now, how many black people are going to opt for that dumb mentality, lighten up their skin. Sadly, that's where it's going. I wanted just to say that there's at the moment, there's 5 of us on this call, but we have only been hearing from 4 of us. So I'd like to extend the opportunity to speak to Sonia. Please, we haven't heard your opinion on any of this, please.
I'm just enjoying the conversation. For me personally, I tried natural for 2 years and it was too much hard work for me. So I permed my hair last year and it's more manageable for me.
And it doesn't mean that you hate yourself. It's just that because, and I think this is what we need as well. This is what we need. And I think this is what parents need to do with their kids, is to learn to their kids how to take care of their hair. Because if you don't know, even when you go to the hairdresser, they don't even know how to take care of your hair. They're like, okay, no, sorry, do you want me to straighten them or whatever? So you're like, okay, well, let's go to what's easier. You see what I mean? So I think we really need to be balanced here. We really need to be balanced.
There was a time in Nigeria when my sister, when she was natural, so went to Nigeria for holiday, she went to the hair salon. The first thing they said is, "Oh, auntie, your hair is due, as in due to be relaxed." She's like, "No, so this is my hair." And she asked them to look after it. This is the hairdresser. They actually didn't know how to look after her own natural hair.
Really bad.
As I said earlier, there's a problem when you have a group of people that cannot look after. If you fry your hair, if you poison, if you stick a weave in there, you can rock, you can do everything. But when you do not know how to look after your hair, the way it comes out of your head, there is something wrong there. Which other group on this planet don't know how to look after the hair the way it comes out of the head? No, that's a problem that's kind of unique to us here. It's like there's something wrong.
There's only 2 kinds of hair. Okay, 3 maybe. Okay, this is only like the flat hair or all hair. I'm sorry. And then you have the in-betweens. Yeah. So
there is still a problem if you do not
one change in 2. So sorry.
But if you don't know how to look after the hair that you're born with, that God gave you, but yet if you manipulate it, you can work with it. There's something wrong there.
No, Christian, can I just say, when my hair was natural, I knew how to look after it. It was just hard work. because I hadn't been natural for years. I know how to look after natural hair, but it's more convenient for me to perm my hair. It's easier, it's quicker.
Yeah.
I personally won't wear a wig, but I like my permed hair.
Do you know what, just to add on this, and I think it's part of the thing that we're saying, that when we wear a weave, there's nothing really wrong with it because we don't really see it as an issue. But as a result of it happening for an extensive period of time, people don't know how to look after their hair because we've been doing it for so long. For me, that again is evidence. When you extend something and you continue to do something and you see the after effects, that should give you an idea that this might be the cause of a certain issue. In terms of what we see our hair is as normal, again, I feel like we have to understand that we're shaped by the environment that we're in. For example, I have locks in my hair, right? I've still maintained my natural hair, and I don't have any of the issues of, you know, maintaining natural hair, like that thing where you want to wake up out of bed and go. And, you know, what we determine again as easy, I think again is framed by the society that we're in. Because in my mind, and I remember discussing this with Kaisha previously, when we say what is easy, most of the things that we complain about in natural hair, I don't have that issue. I can wake up and I don't have to do, I don't comb my hair, you know, I don't wash my hair every 2 seconds. But the majority of people don't now think, okay, let me lock my hair. The other thing is as well is that what do you think, what is hard? Because for example, European people, they wash their hair regularly. They go to the hairdressers regularly. It's a ritual. When you look at the money that they spend on their hair, we as Black people, we wash our hair every once a week, every 2 weeks. And the thing is as well, when you leave your hair, that's when our hair thrives. We don't have to comb it all the, like there was one point before I went into did my locks, when I had my natural hair, I would only comb it when I washed it. And then I will leave my hair beautifully stayed where I wanted it to stay. I put it in a bun and I left my house. I didn't touch my hair. I'll come home. At most, I might plait it before I go to bed, but I don't comb my hair. And I feel like this determination of what is easy is more like, does my hair behave like white hair? And if it doesn't behave like white hair, then it's hard. The other thing I realized as well about Black hair is I felt like my hair was telling me a lot about my health. So I noticed, for example, when my hair will soak up the moisture and when my hair didn't soak up the moisture. I feel like a lot of people, their hair is telling a lot about them, but they find it difficult, relax their hair. And I think it hides the signs of certain issues. So I feel like when you have that relationship with your hair, people can tell whether they have thyroid issues just the way by the way their hair behaves. But if you don't know enough about your hair and you feel like it's behaving this way, that means it's difficult because it's natural hair, I'm going to relax it. You might miss those issues. So I think the way we determine what is easy, again, I think we need to be very conscious that it's framed within this European ideal. Our hair is not supposed to behave like European hair because it's not European hair. And if we struggle with natural hair, there are ways to maintain natural hairstyles where we don't have to put our hands in it every seconds. If we put braids in our hair, for example, you don't have to touch it for 2-3 months. Do you see what I mean? But we don't go for those options. We go for the option that's closest to, I feel personally, on the whole, when we look at the whole, that's closest to the way European hair looks. Just to add, we've also got some comments. Nasa Nas has said, character assassination by our own people. Butt implants where you look to deform is self-hate, not body improvement. And Nasa Nas also said, a famous comedian said, if Black women are wearing wigs because it's easier to maintain, why not wear Afro wig then?
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Find me an Afro wig, no problem.
Yeah, there are many of them. If you go online, you can have access to Afro wigs nowadays.
I go because I like. Sorry, go. Sorry.
I just wanted to add a little bit on that maintenance so-called issues. As you said, Miss N, it's about culture appropriation, and it's also about, once again, in Africa, back home, it's not because people have opened up hair salon that they are specialists in hair. We need to be extremely careful. When you buy a car and your car breaks down, you don't go on YouTube expecting to get answers from it. You're going to look for a garagist. When it comes to our hair, we go on YouTube and listen to amateurs talking about their personal experiences. And that's also one of the main issues. We need to be extremely careful when it comes to our hair, even more careful than with our cars. that's what I call the self-hate. To me, it's not about wearing weaves or not. I just said that in terms of sciences, you need to have your scalp breathing. It's impossible to wear wigs and waves all the time and pretend to have a healthy scalp. That's wrong. And you can't pretend that your hair are growing when you do perm after perm for so many years. At some point, you're going to end up like Naomi Campbell, bald, and she's a millionaire. So if you can't afford it, just leave it there. Accept your hair. It's a long journey. It took me 11 years to get to that hairstyle. We've met a long time ago. I didn't have those hair. I had to work on my food intake. I had to work on my sleep. I had to work on my physical activity. I had to work on my mindset. There's a lot of, it's a lifestyle. We need to think about our foremothers. They had long hair, beautiful skin. Were they using anything coming from the supermarket? No. Were they complaining about the time invested in themselves? Because taking care of my hair, it's half an hour in the morning, it's 15 minutes at night if I want to have this afro. But as you said, Miss M, most of the time I don't have the afro. Most of the time I'm going to have like breads, or I'm going to have, so we have so many opportunities to make our hairdressers being creative, and we don't take them. We are the only people on this planet who can afford to have 365 different hairstyles every day for the rest of our lives. And we are not taking that into consideration. We want to look like Beyonce because it's convenient, because it takes 5 minutes, as you said, because we want to have the greasy Asian hair, because we've got Asian hair and African hair. There's no European hair. Their hair needs to be washed every other day because they have greasy hair. We've got dry hair because we don't eat enough oils, and we can't maintain our hair anymore. We don't want to learn about it, especially in Africa, in the Caribbean. So that's the reason why I started writing books, because I was tired of having all these women complaining. You eat sunflower oil and you complain that your hair are not growing. Eat avocado oil like your grandmother did. Eat peanut oil, you know.
But Crystal, I think this is what is needed, is all this knowledge that we need. And then I think as well that this is when there will be, more people more women will try it and will say, okay, let me do it. And even we saw, I think for 10 years now, more and more Black women going nappy. You see, so that means that, that there was still a conscience about it. You see, so me personally, it's just like, it's true. Maybe this is very easy for me to say that it's because it's easier for me. Like Celia said, it's more convenient. But okay, maybe this is a habit that I have to put in my daily life. Okay, now I have my hair, now I have to do this, I have to do that. But it's a transition. It's like for everything, a transition is never easy. It's like when you go on diet, the first days, the first weeks are very difficult, but you know that you want to attain a point, you see. But then after, maybe you can start thinking, okay, well, do I have to do all this sacrifice for my hair? Maybe you can be asking this question as well. You see, so I think this is really a point of like consciousness about, okay, you know what? Now when I'm wearing a weave, I don't feel my blackness. I don't feel like I would like to feel. But personally, for me, wearing a weave is just fashion. It's just the way for the moment. It's easier. And yeah, so.
I think fashion is also a political statement. Fashion is a message. And if you are not shaping your fashion, somebody else is shaping it for you. And if the majority of people are saying this is what because right now we've got fast fashion that's damaging the environment. So people are now deciding to style themselves in a way that's not damaging to the environment. For me, I personally find it very odd that every few weeks there's a new style of clothing and our wardrobes are filling with random stuff, whereas our grandmothers have cloths from when they were children that they're still wearing, and the quality is so good that they can still use it fresh now. So I feel like fashion is a very powerful thing. And if I feel like if we're not using our energy to say our own story and to say our message, then automatically we're using our energy to tell the story of somebody else. So in my mind, I'm like, so I made a very conscious choice to wear locks because I wanted something natural, and I wanted to change my hairstyle from my afro, but I didn't want to be representing something that was not culture. You know me already. You know what I'm like. So when I did wear my locks, people weren't surprised because it's a statement that I'm making.
Yeah.
What I wear, the jewelry that I wear, is a statement that I'm making. And if I feel like it's just a flyaway thing, that means I'm telling somebody else's story. I find it very weird that when people go to work, for example, and are wearing particular colors of suits, everybody feels like it's an individual choice. But if you really think about it, if millions of people with different backgrounds, different stories are all wearing the same type of clothes, are you sure that it's you that's making that choice? And not Louis Vuitton, who's telling you that the thing in this summer is this color, and all of a sudden everyone's wearing that color. If all the designers said the color this season is purple, everyone will be saying that we're all individuals, but they'll all be wearing purple. And for me, that's what's happening with us. People are telling you that this is the in thing, and everybody's wearing the in thing, but they might choose that color, and I'm saying it's an individual choice. When a group of people are making choices that are not in favor of them and are not in favor of the survival of everything that matters to them, then I feel that it is a sign that you are working somebody else's story and you're working in favor of somebody else, because it is human nature. It's nature of all beings to do things for your survival. Right now, we've had a conversation and we're basically saying that our hairdressers, as a result that we've made, as a result of the decisions that we've made in the past couple of our generations, our hairdressers do not even know how to do our hair. That means the individual decisions that we feel that we're making in the name of fashion are not for our survival. And we don't do that naturally as human beings. So who is giving us that message to make it think that it is normal? Because if 4 or 5 generations from now, the old hairstyles, the Bantu knots, they probably all will die out because we all feel like we're making individual choices. I mean, right now, if you watch TV and somebody puts a red bag on the TV, guaranteed 3/4 of the population are going to buy that red bag. Is that really individual choice? Is that normal? I don't personally think it's normal.
Well, but we live in this. I mean, we don't live in on the island. We live in a society, so obviously, of course, you have fashion trends. Sorry, is like how do you say it? How do you call it? Social media as well. Everybody is on Facebook or on TikTok doing all this kind of stuff. These are trends and fashion, and we live in a society, and most people want to belong. You see, not a lot of people like to be special and like to be individual. A lot of people want to, they want to belong to a group, and then it means for them, okay, well, everybody's wearing a dress, so maybe I shouldn't wear a pants. Then they will wear dress. You see what I mean? So, but it doesn't always mean that this person has a problem. It's just that maybe she can affirm herself. She can be more, affirmative about who the person is. But when you see the society, this is not promoted. To be individual, to be special is not promoted. You see, when you are special, when you are, people think that you are the person who's crazy. You see, when you are, they call you original and all that kind of stuff.
And
actually,
maybe we need to.
The best thing is to be original, is to be special, because I think there's nothing more boring than to see the same people, you see what I mean? Like when you said, oh yes, I used to wear blue. Well, in your hair, I remember, but then, why not? If you want to change a little bit, why not?
Why not? Yeah. But then what do you do when the society is telling you that you can join my club, but you must hate yourself first?
No way.
And that's what, because like lots of people were saying, but our men, prefer this and men prefer that. But the society is saying, this is your ideal woman. And if you get this woman, that means you've achieved a certain level of status. And therefore, a significant number of our men, when they're trying to achieve in life and get the networks, they're going for that kind of man. So as much as we want to join this society and we want to join the community, we really have to question it when that society we want to join is not built with us in mind. And that's what we have to understand. The society that we're in, especially those of us living in Europe and even those in back home because of neocolonialism, the society, the prevailing ideas, the prevailing ideals are not built with us in mind. And this is why I feel we have the problems that we have. Or Christian, what are your views on what's being said?
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. We are in consumerist society, and therefore people are submitted to trends because that's the way they've been raised, that's the culture they are living in. Now, in terms of being African nowadays, what about our storytelling? What about our aesthetic? Who is going to maintain it? Who is going to transfer it? How can individual decision can impact collective awareness, can impact collective storytelling, storyline? Because nowadays, everybody's criticizing hairdressers, but how many of us are going to them, telling them, okay, I want to have braids? Very often nowadays, we are going into those weaves or whatsoever. They have now specific type of wigs that you can just put on your head, and that's it. It's already braided and all of that, because we want to go fast and we are no longer willing to take our times. The beauty industry, as I mentioned in my first book, everything comes from Africa. The fact that you are shaving your full body, people were doing that, men and women in ancient times. The fact that they were doing their hair every week, people were doing that. They had time for that, specific. The fact that the cosmetic industry could have never been what it is as we speak as of today, because back in the days, each family was creating its own cosmetics. So beauty was extremely important in African culture. We are talking here about 2,500 different type of Africans, and all of them, they had their own rituals. What about our legacy? What are we doing now? What are we planning to transfer into the next generation? This is our responsibility. So I believe we can no longer afford to take individual decision thinking that we are gaining time. We are not. I think if you are activist, we need to be activist all the way. And it has, especially for us women, it has to start with the way we look. It's a lot of work, but on the long run, it will benefit the next generation, because sooner or later they're going to ask you, what have you done against the Beyonce blonde hair and the narration? And what are we going to reply? Fela Kuti had to start somewhere. He did it. So when are we going? Now, when we think about African icon, we have to go back to the 70s, because the African icon in 2021 are all bleached. They're all bleached and waved. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed when. That's why I don't watch. I listen to African music, but I don't watch the music videos, because I'm embarrassed. Because I can't see myself. I don't recognize our culture. It's an American view on the African continent. What's that? Is it culture? And how can they say that in Africa they don't have time to take care of their hair? Which type of busy life do they have? We don't have tube. We are living in
society is changing as well. Society is changing, and I think as well that we are more mixing and mixing and mixing. So maybe it shows a little bit as well what society is about. You see, because Africa is full of mixed, of mixed people as well. So I don't, it shows. I mean, what you see sometimes in video clips is really what society is about, and how people have changed, how people have, or African have Americanized themselves. Because I have to say, I'd rather video clips from before in Afrobeats than now, because sometimes I look at Afrobeats clips video and I'm like, it looks like an American video. Why are they doing this? You see, so it's true as well. With that, I'm a bit disappointed. But I don't know. It's true, because sometimes you have those people. They are successful because of who they are, and then they change to be like the others, this is really strange. I don't understand this process. I really don't understand this process. But I think it's very important to stay true to yourself. I think that we shouldn't feel pressure to do something. And everybody will have their own time to be okay, now I want to be like this, and I'm going to do everything to be like this because I want to be me. And I think this is really as well like, a good start when you say, I want to be me, and that you don't care about what the other people will think, right? So I don't know, Miss N has disappeared, I think. I don't know, I read an article about the fact that, that as well, bleaching skin is not only the African women who do that. There's always the Brazilian, Indian,
Yeah, said
Middle
this.
East as well do that. Do you know how many money they spend on women spend every year on?
These products.
Do you know how many they spend?
Millions or billions, probably maybe even billions.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
billions. I
eight
had the
billion.
numbers from 10 years ago, and it was already billions. And the people who are profiting from that business are not even the dark skin. So we have nothing to gain in that. And it's going to be the same for the weave and all of that. It's not even benefiting us.
The black
It's
community is
getting
true.
us even poorer. Because we see women in Africa, they're going to say that they can't afford to send their children to school, but they got weaves on. I'm sorry. They got
Exactly.
Netflix. I'm sorry. I don't have TV, so I have plenty of time to do my hair. That's why I say it's a lifestyle choice. You can't say that I don't have time and then you have Netflix. No, I
Well,
don't
you
have
can do your
TV,
hair
so
while
I
you're
have
watching the
plenty of
movie.
time. For instance, you could do that, but how many people are doing it? So that's why when we say that, we only have 24 hours, what do you do with your 24 hours? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's very, very. Just,
No, it's
yeah, I guess I
it's true.
agree.
So,
Yeah.
so do you think that more African countries should ban, for example, bleaching cream? Because we know that Rwanda, South Africa, and Ghana have already banned those creams. Do you think that more African countries should do that?
From
To
what
be
I know,
honest, yes.
about 10 countries, 10 African countries have banned bleaching products,
Okay.
but you can still order them online. You can still travel to get them. So it's forbidden to produce them in Rwanda, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Kenya, I believe in Senegal, just out of my mind. But it's not forbidden to go to Burkina Faso, to go to Zambia, to go to Ethiopia to get them. And it's not forbidden to use Alibaba to order them from Asia. So it's the same thing. It's about the mentality. And I believe us as diaspora, we have a huge responsibility in terms of how our people feel about themselves. We've seen it with the natural hair process. There's so many of us getting into natural hair. Now natural hair is in Africa. So we have a risk. Africa is a continent where, the age is 19. That's the
The
average
average.
age. It's a teenager continent. It's a children continent.
Yeah.
So it's normal for them to watch Beyonce video and copy. Now, us as the grown-up, we need to change that storyline and present a better image of what could be done in terms of styling.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. But I think that there's something new coming. I think like the younger generation even here, there is that consciousness about like, okay, now, we can be natural, we have to come back to our roots, etc. Of course, obviously the movement maybe is not big enough, but I think there's something happening that people want really to go back to our roots, to their roots. So and I think it's really, really important. So I think that we can conclude now. I don't know where Miss N is gone. She's there. What happened to you?
I'm here. I had to move. I had to.
Okay, so I think we can conclude, because I think it's been more than one and now that we've been talking about it. So I just want to ask you the introduction question. So, Christian, is wearing a weave worse than bleaching?
In many ways, they're both two different sides of the same coin.
Okay. Is that the only answer?
I'd say
Okay.
they're both.
Okay.
I'd say
Let's imagine. Let's just imagine. Okay, you see two girls. Okay, you have two girls in front of you that you like. Okay, when you talk to them, they're cool, right? So you see that one has bleached her skin, and the other one is wearing a weave. I mean, which one you think you will think? Okay, let me try. Let me try. Let me go for it and see. For example.
what I would think is I need to find a black woman that loves herself enough not to wear a wig and not to bleach herself, and I'd leave those two standing there and go and find her instead.
So none of them.
Neither of them.
So Christian, you will never date me. Oh no.
I could date you, but you'd have to leave the hair somewhere else.
So it would never happen, never in my life. Oh my dead body. No, I'm joking. So Christelle, so what is your answer?
My answer, yeah, would be the same. It's similar. It's just about who is benefiting from it. Are we truly benefiting from it as a community? I don't think so. In terms of economy, in terms of culture, society, history, in every aspect, it is not a gift for us. So we need to think about that carefully each time we make those individual decisions.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Is Celia still there?
Nope, see, no, it doesn't look like she's here.
She's gone. I wanted to ask.
There are
her.
5 people.
Yeah, Sonia's
Okay.
there.
All right. Okay. So anyway, so thank you so much for to have been our main guest on this topic. It was really, really, really nice. I really enjoyed myself. I have to depend. I felt a bit lonely, but that's fine. Don't worry.
We love you, girl. Don't worry. We'll bring you over to the other side. You
I
watch.
just need to go and see a psychiatric, right?
But
No, but anyway.
Don't worry. You just need to spend time with us.
if you feel lonely, just take your wig off and talk to it.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'm not even offended, I'm not even offended. So
because you love yourself, girl. That's why.
thank you so much to have taken part to the icayi live show, and you all had your tea, which is really, really nice. Thank you so much. And you have to come back. We do a monthly show. You can come back anytime you want on the other topics, which would be as well very, very interesting. Thank you so much as well to all the people who have put comments on the chat. Thank you so much as well to Celia as well. And, we thank you so much for tuning, and we really hope that you enjoy the show. So thank you
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All of you.
Join us
Thank you.
next month. All right.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.